Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, I'm currently on the M1 southbound heading down to London to pick up something quite rare and quite interesting. I've never actually had one of these on the channel before. It's one of the best-selling cars in the world. I think for something like the last 20 years in the US, this has been the best-selling car of all time. What I've agreed to buy is a 1998 Toyota Camry 2.2 Sport. Now a lot of these used a 3-litre V6, so this one being the 2.2 Sport does make it a little bit more rare. I saw this for sale on Facebook Marketplace about 3 weeks ago and I've been watching it for weeks thinking, should I buy it? Should I buy it? And then last night I thought, yeah, why not? I've agreed to buy this for just £1,500, so it seems like an awful lot of car for the money. It doesn't need an awful lot of work either, I hope. Like I say, I haven't actually seen it yet, it's 4 hours away. We're about an hour and a half away as it stands. It's done 155,000 miles, which is nothing for one of these. The service history is excellent. It's had a timing belt done recently, well, about 2 years ago, so it seems like quite a good buy. It's also quite a good colour combination. It's a metallic red or maroon sort of colour with a beige interior, so it does look quite classy. Now, because this is the sport model, it comes with a different set of alloy wheels and a slightly different grille, so it does sit quite nicely, looks quite sporty. Now the Camry, although it was popular in many markets around the world, it wasn't all that popular in the UK. And I think that's for two reasons really. It's quite a large car with big engines, and here in the UK petrol prices are quite high.
Now with my Camry V6, I just punch. Yeah, punch it, Margaret!
And secondly, mostly, we're a bunch of badge snobs. So I don't think many people wanted to spend £30,000 or the equivalent of on something the size of a 5 Series with a Toyota badge. I think that's the main reason it didn't really sell very well. In the UK and Europe, it was outsold by the Carina and then latterly the Avensis. The Avensis, for example, was offered with a diesel engine, whereas on the Camry that was never an option. I've mentioned in previous videos that I'm a big fan of 90s cars, 90s Japanese cars particularly, and 90s Toyotas. And I thought, given the fact that I never actually featured a Camry on the channel, why not? So, in usual fashion, I suppose I'll make some modifications to it, or enhancements, try and get it looking its best, and then put it up for sale. I set off this morning from Manchester about 9 o'clock and we are running slightly late. I said that I'd be there for 1, but it's going to be just after. I'm hoping he's still around, otherwise this will be a completely wasted trip. I suppose we're going to have to put our foot down, aren't we? In case you're wondering, I've decided to give the old white Ranger a run out today. Just keeps the miles off the new one. And I haven't been in this car for a few weeks, so why not? And also I thought this would fit in well around Essex. It's a bit of an Essex car, isn't it really? Always has been. Right, I'll see you there. I'll give you a tour as soon as I've bought it. Well, I've just bought the Toyota Camry. I'm currently in a Tesco car park on the outskirts of, I say the outskirts, I'm actually in a place called Waltham Abbey in Essex, not far from Loughton. So, well, I may as well give you a tour, shall I? I'm really quite pleased with it so far. As we approached the place, I was a little bit nervous because I thought, this is a 26-year-old car that I bought blind off Facebook Marketplace. What's it going to be like? But, pleasantly surprised. Here it is then, my 1998 Toyota Camry 2.2 Sport. I mean, how tidy is that for a 26-year-old car? I'm really quite impressed with it. So the Sport model got slightly different wheels and a different grille, that sportier mesh grille. Now if you look at these wheels, I think I'll have to get these powder coated again at Prestige wheels because they will come up looking like new. But they're in decent condition really. We've got a mixture of tyres, Firestone and also, oh no, I think they're matching Firestones, you know. This gets better. And like I say, when you look inside, actually, I'm doing this in the wrong order, aren't I? Just getting carried away here. It's got a nice leather interior. And when you look at the service history, it has got stacks and stacks of bills and receipts. I won't go through that because I'll end up revealing someone's name or address. But I'm really impressed with it. There's a small rip in the driver's seat here, which I could get my upholstery man to remove and then put a new panel in. But I'm really pleased with it. Everything works. The air conditioning's ice cold, it's got a sunroof that works, all the windows and mirrors work. It's genuinely quite a nice thing. There's loads of room in the back seats look like they've never been sat in. Quite pleased. Now before I bought this car I did a vehicle history check using Car Vertical. Let me show you what I found. So all you do is go to carvertical.com, type in the reg, which in this case is Sierra 552 Big Friendly Giant. There we go, check vehicle. It checks hundreds of millions of cars, so it'll tell us whether it's ever been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. It's not an expensive check, and it's cheaper still if you use my promo code HIGHPEAK. That's HIGHPEAK, and you'll save yourself 20% off each and every check that you do. So this will tell us whether it's ever been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. In addition to that, it shows us the MOT history, it tells us the changes of owners, the average market value. Sometimes if it's been involved in an accident, it shows you photographs of the damage as well. So it's quite a useful tool. And the report's ready. So, view report. So as you can see here, we've got green markers here, so it's never had a mileage rollback, there's no outstanding finance, and there's no recorded damage, which is a result. In addition to that, it's never been stolen. Now, the last known mileage was at 154,999, and the mileage, as you can see, is really consistent every single year. So you just know it's a genuine car. And for a car of this age, 155 isn't particularly high. So it's a 2.2 1998 automatic Camry, engine code. It was first registered in the UK in December 98, and the ownership changed, then it failed an MOT. Let's go down to the most recent one then. Ownership changed. I think it was done in December. There we go. So the last MOT was done in December 23, and then here even, it says the vehicle was on sale in June 24. So it's been for sale for a couple of months. That's the sad thing really. This isn't everyone's cup of tea, this kind of car, and it ought to be. Because this car's got another 10 years of service easily. But like I said at the start, we're just kind of badge snobs in this country. Nobody really wants a car like this, which is a pity. If you look down here, you can tell that it's had some paintwork on this front bumper. It's not original, but it still looks alright. I don't think it really matters. There are no big dents or scratches. It actually looks very bright, doesn't it? Like I say, once I've done those wheels, once I've had those refurbished, and then possibly given it a bit of a buff, it should really look the part, shouldn't it? Moving around the back, you can see where it's had a rear spoiler at some point, and someone's removed it and then filled the holes with these little bungs. But again, it's not bad, is it? You can see some sort of spider's webs here on the back bumper, where the paint started to sort of graze, I guess. But it isn't the sort of thing that I'd bother doing. Now I've got a 200-mile journey back up north. Just wanted to show you under the bonnet briefly. But yeah, there's the interior. It's all in good order, isn't it? I mean, you even get things like electric seats. This would have really been some car back in 1998. So under the bonnet then, there's not an awful lot to see, is there? The chassis legs look straight. There's no excess rust. Top mounts look okay. It's all in very good condition, which makes me think it's probably been garaged this. A car of this age, especially a Japanese one, you'd expect to see a lot more rust. And there just isn't. Let's fire her up then. The only disappointing thing is we've only got one key. We do have an aftermarket remote fob though. I don't know whether that works or not, I've not tried it. I daren't in case I sort of lock myself out of it. But this engine is as sweet as a nut. Listen to that. So down here we've got a tape deck, we've got a radio cassette, and also I think we've got a CD changer in the boot. We've got a Yorkie down here, which is for me, for my journey home. We've got an ashtray. We've got a little tray there for storage. We've got not one but two cup holders. Nice centre console here. Straight away I'm just really smitten with this thing. I don't know what it is. The interior is exactly the same as my old Land Cruiser. It's just quite a cool old thing, isn't it? Let me show you actually. What else can I show you? We've got a book pack in there. It needs a good valet, but that's about it. Moving back to the boot then, let me show you this. Pop this little lever down here. Now it comes with a load of spare parts. So in the boot we've got some light lenses, a Haynes manual, a bag there full of belts and stuff. So that's all a good sign in my mind. I think it's a sign that it's been owned by somebody who cares, somebody who's actually bothered to look after it. Right, well like I said, I've got a 200-mile journey to get back to Manchester. It's going to take me just under 4 hours, I assume. So hopefully there won't be another update. Hopefully it'll get me back there in one piece. It's a Toyota. Shouldn't have any trouble, should I? I just don't want to jinx it. I'll give you an update later. Well, it's a new day and I'm back in my 1998 Toyota Camry 2.2 Sport. You know, last night when I finally got home, I went onto that website, howmanyleft.com or whatever it's called. This is a really rare car. Now, I knew this was a rare car already, but when I actually checked, there are only 19 2.2 Sport Camrys still registered in the UK. I know a Camry isn't something you see every day, but I didn't think it was that rare. In case you're wondering, I made it back up to Manchester without a single fault. It's been spot on, this car. I'm so pleased with it. I mean, not only did it get me back in one piece, it was quite a nice journey. It's quite good on fuel. I think I've only used about 3/8 of a tank. My air conditioning's ice cold. There's no wobble at 70 miles an hour. There's no vibration when you brake. It is honestly spot on. When I was chatting with the guy from the car sales place where I bought this from, I asked him where he'd got it from, and he said that he bought it from a local main dealer, which instantly filled me with confidence. I thought if somebody had this car and then they bought a brand new car, that's always a good sign. It doesn't mean they got rid of this because of lack of money or something like that. I know I'm putting two and two together there, but usually that's the case. You know, it just means that this car hasn't been run on a shoestring, and you can definitely tell everything still works. You know, as I was driving it back yesterday, the only fault that I found with the whole car was my near side light wasn't working. This morning I turned on the headlamps, did a quick inspection, whacked the top of the light, and it came on. So the only fault that was present with my 26-year-old Toyota, I've fixed. I'm so chuffed with this car. I can't remember the last time I was so pleased with a £1,500 purchase. It just shows you how good Toyotas are from this era. I don't want to sound like Scotty Kilmer now, but they just don't make cars like this anymore. I haven't even got an awful lot to do to it, to be honest. Usually when I buy a cheap car for under £2,000, I've got a to-do list as long as your arm, but not with this. All I need to do with this one is just titivate it slightly, get it looking its best, and I'm convinced there's some profit in it. I'm pretty sure this could be a £2,500 car. All I need to do is refurbish the wheels, do a little bit of paintwork, give it a buff, give it a good clean, service and MOT, and we're there. This is the kind of thing that could be featured at the Festival of the Unexceptional. I know I keep referring to this place, but I must go. Next year I'm going to go. I don't know what I'll take yet. Probably an NX or two. Maybe this. Who knows? Saying that, I can't keep them all this is the problem. There's just something about this that I really like it. I also found the little overdrive button. I didn't think it had it, but it's well concealed. So if we turn overdrive off, get a bit more power, a bit more pork. The other good thing is the previous owner has fitted this dash cam. Now, I'm not a big fan of dash cams, but it tells you how cautious the previous owner was. So I don't think this car's ever been driven in anger. I think that's all I can tell you, to be honest, at this point. But I just wanted to keep you appraised and let you know that I made it back in one piece. Saying that, I don't suppose you had any doubts, did you? I'm in a Toyota Camry, one of the most reliable cars ever made. This is the kind of car that my mum would have had when I was a kid. So growing up, she had a couple of Mitsubishi Galants, a Hyundai Sonata, various other big nondescript saloon cars like this, and this reminds me very much of that. So I think for now, that's about it. I'm going to take this down to my mechanics and leave it for a service, inspection and MOT, and then probably take it to Prestige Wheels and get the wheels done. Then it wants to go to Jimmy for a little bit of paint, and then Tameside detailing for a valet. As long as nothing else crops up, that's about it. Give me 10 days and I'll have an update for you. But so far, I'm well pleased. I'm properly impressed. It's the best 1,500 quid I think I've ever spent. And we're back in my cheap Toyota Camry, and it's finally prepared and ready for sale. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think I finally bought a good one. I'm used to sitting here finishing these videos complaining about how much I've overspent, but that just isn't the case with this old Camry. I'm actually feeling quite smug. I finally bought a decent car. Sooner or later it happens to everyone. After we last spoke, I'd driven over 200 miles in this car, so I knew it was decent, but you never really know until you get it on a ramp. Anyway, the next day I ran it down to my mechanics for a service and an MOT, and it was all good. My mechanic couldn't find anything wrong with it. In fact, that's not strictly true. There was a minor oil leak, but they've cleaned it all off and told me just to monitor it and keep my eye on it. But that's not bad, is it, on a 26-year-old car, done 155,000 miles, one minor oil leak. That was it. So later that afternoon, it had its service and it had its MOT, so I've now got a 12-month MOT with not a single advisory item. Not a single advisory item on a 1998 car. Even the side light on the near side that I thought had failed hadn't. I just gave it a bit of gentle persuasion. I gave it a bit of a knock and it came back on. I feel really lucky to have found this car. So from a mechanics, I picked it up and I took it over to Prestige Wheels. Now the wheels did let the side down a little bit. They were a little bit scuffed around the edges. So I left it there to be dipped, stripped, repaired and then powder coated, and they now look as good as new. So I must say thank you to Prestige Wheels over in Bredbury for sorting that one out. They've done a really good job, as they always do. From Prestige Wheels, I continued on to Tameside Detailing over in Hyde and left it for a full clean. It wasn't particularly dirty before, but it has cleaned up nicely. It's a nice clean car, this. It even smells nice and clean. I got it back to work this morning and I've photographed it outside my gates and I've advertised it. In case you're wondering, I've advertised this for £2,495, £2,495 with 12 months MOT. And I think someone's getting a really decent car. You know, my mechanic told me when they'd got this up on the ramp, somebody had spent a fortune on the suspension. Every part of the suspension had been overhauled. After doing 200 miles in the car, I knew it was decent. I just didn't realise just how decent it was. So I'm quite chuffed, really. I've done a couple of TikToks with this car. If you don't follow me on TikTok, make sure you do. It's High Peak Autos. Anyway, I've done a couple of TikToks and I've done a couple of Instagram posts and stuff with this car. And I've had a few direct messages from people wanting to buy it. So I really don't think this will hang around too long. The one job I didn't get done though was the leather upholstery repair. If you remember, the driver's seat base has a rip in it. Now, I just didn't really know what to do. I thought if I speak to my upholstery man, he's going to sew in a brand new piece of leather. Chances are it won't be the right colour and it'll stand out like a sore thumb. So don't think I've been cheap with this, because it wasn't really a case of saving money. I just didn't want to ruin the look of the car with a brand new piece of, off-colour leather. Wouldn't have looked right. So in case you're wondering, what we're going to do now is work out what I've spent. We'll just turn my air conditioning down because it's a little bit too cold. Now, if you remember, I paid £1,500 for the car. The bill at my mechanics was, hang on a second, service, MOT, labour, £186. So add in 186. Oh, I nearly forgot. I also treated it to a fresh set of reg plates. As I always do, they cost me £15. What else did I spend? £288 at Prestige Wheels, having the wheels refurbished. £70 on a valet. What else? I should factor in the fuel, shouldn't I really? Now, it cost me £60 in this to get it back, and my white Range Rover cost, well, it took a full tank, which is £128. We'll gloss over that, but I do have to factor that in. Okay. That slightly surprised me, really, because in my head I thought I hadn't overspent on this car, but as it turned out, bear in mind I've got this up for £2,495. It currently owes me £2,247. I was hoping to have £500 profit out of this car, and that sadly isn't the case. Although there is a little bit of VAT to claim back on those bills, but not much. Still, I've kind of saved another, I don't know, modern classic? Would you call it a modern classic? I've saved another decent car, pretty much, and hopefully had £250 profit, which isn't bad, is it, to be honest? It's not bad. Let's face it, I've sat here many times before and tried to justify worse deals, haven't I? So 250 quid isn't too bad, is it, really? Anyway, it is what it is. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. I'll leave the links below. What else can I tell you? I think that's about it. I'm going to head back to work, park this on the forecourt and try and find a buyer for it. Cheers guys, I'll see you next time.